Imagine you've just walked into a dimly lit room. This room represents your experience of your life. On one wall, I ask you to show me your energy level. How do you go about your life and do the things that you do? And right there is a light switch. And you show me, I click this switch, this light comes on, I do what I need to do, and I turn this switch off when it's time to rest. I ask you, show me your relationships. Where in this room are your relationships? And you show me a picture mounted on the wall. And it says, the people who will love me. And I see a picture of your mother and your father. And beside that, I see a picture of all the different amalgamations of people who you had a crush on when you were a child. Celebrities, the person you sat next to in grade school. Next, I ask you, how do you make money? How do you finance and fund your living expenses on this planet Earth? And you show me, another section of the wall. And I see where cash comes out. I see the word bank. I see my job. And I ask, how do you learn? You show me yet another section of the wall, and I see some diplomas. I see some certificates. I see some names of some podcasts. Then I turn to you and I say, okay, I see the energy you have for your life right now. What happens if someone puts more load onto this energy? Okay, so you have an accident, or you have a new person come into your life. You have something you want to pursue. Where does that energy come from? And you're like, well, I've just got this one light switch. For these more things to come into my life, it's going to put too much energy on the system and it could blow. And that's has happened to me before, and my light switch just wouldn't come on again for a very long time. And at this point, I would direct your attention to a slightly shadowy area off to the side of your light switch. You suddenly notice there's an entire wall of switches. And suddenly bigger parts of the room start lighting up brilliantly. And you're like, wow, I didn't know I had that much energy. I didn't know those switches were there. I show you that if you look behind this photo of the people who will love you and your romantic relationships in life, and suddenly you notice many different types of people you never would have considered or thought of before. And they're waiting and willing and ready to love you. Imagine I show you just off to the side of where you had shown me, this is where money comes from. There was a long line of ATM slots with cash sticking out. In fact, there's one of them that's just spewing it out constantly. And it's been there this whole time. This is my light switch theory. Many of us exist in a small little box of reality where there's one this, one that, one way of doing things, one experience that you keep having over and over again. And many people just get stuck in that. They don't realize that the system you were born into, society, your family, your religious system, your school systems, your work systems, your financial systems, they were all set up to keep you in a box. That's what works best for the ones who are in charge. And it has for many, many years before you were even born. This system has been going to control and keep people down. You don't realize that you are like a Ferrari that's been parked in a mid-grade garage filled with mid-grade fuel to drive an accountant down a quiet residential street to work and back home again. You don't know that you could simply put some premium gas in that Ferrari and take it out on the highway, See what can happen. Many people never do that with their life. Now, in this example, I used myself as the person who comes in and kind of illuminates these other options for you. But for many people, the thing that comes into their life and starts to shine a little bit of light on these other areas of potential are experiences that they have. Sometimes it could be a dream, music, a movie you watch, a person you meet randomly. For me, I've had so many of these experiences, and every time I step out into the dark area of the room of my life and I reach out in fear and turn on another light, I discover something. Usually it comes with, some things that are kind of uncomfortable. But when I push through that, I'm like, whoa, like my whole world becomes technicolor. Some of those things for me have been music, movies. I have links to some of my favorite things that have affected me. I'll put that below this video. They bring something up, something out from me. And there is a skill, I really do think, that's required to be able to hear and notice and act on these messages from the divine. And myself, I've been trained in paying attention to the unseen reality since I was a kid. First, by reading books. Books, they help you start to create images and feelings in a realm within your mind and in your experience that weren't there before. Another one was religion. Religion told me that there's something very, very important that exists, but you can't see it. You have to feel it. You have to listen for it. And also through my obsession with Greek myths, fables, and fairy tales, they were all about symbolism, right? The ability to interpret symbolism in your life, to think about things in a deep way, it takes practice. Many of our ancient ancestors were very connected to this, but a lot of us in the modern day and age, we need to be clonked over the head with a message. That's one of the reasons I get so annoyed with movies these days, is they can't show a scene with raw emotion. No, they have to have the da-da-da-ding or the do-do-do-do-do-do, right? The over-the-top music to tell you what kind of emotion you should be experiencing in that moment, right? And so most people, they kind of go throughout life. They've got like a motorcycle helmet on, and they got like a full-on bodysuit that's like everything is insulating them from these little moments, these little signs, these little opportunities that are happening throughout their day that add up over the course of a lifetime. Imagine in this room, there's another area that you never noticed before. There are a number of old-fashioned phones hung up on the wall. One of them has a big sign on top that says God. One of them has, who knows, the planet Mercury, right, of communication, of ideas, of travel, of inspiration. And you never even knew they were there. You never even knew that you could get this divine inspiration. You didn't even know that this possibility exists. And when we notice, these phones are ringing off the hook. And they have been your whole life. You've always kind of had this feeling, this kind of calling that there was something more out there for you, and you just didn't know how to get there with it. I know for me, the things that have really just made me go like, whoa. One of them was martial arts, getting involved in martial arts in my 40s in Mexico. Oh my God. And being like, wow, my body has things it can do that I never understood before. This feeling of protecting and defending is very uncomfortable for me, but I really, really needed that. And I'm like, wow, this connects to my feelings of like my parents, and wow, this is healing something. Moving to and living in a new country. Yep, I never imagined that could be me. Here I am, thriving like I never have before. A lot of times when that light comes into a person's reality, it may be through another human, it may be through an experience. People experience that brightness and, oh, it hurts my eyes. This is much too bright, it hurts my eyes. I need to put this light out. I need to leave this room. Or they say, oh, this light is casting my shadow. Suddenly now I've learned some unpleasant things about me. I'm a little bit of a coward. I'm jealous. I'm disappointed in myself. Oh, I don't like this shadow. I don't like these realizations. Time to shut that light switch off. Time to run and leave the room. Time to attack this light. Wow. What if you could accept, oh, cool, I have a shadow. I am rich and brimming with human emotion. How natural of me. How archaeological. How human. Just like ancestors in the past. You know, one of those phones that could be ringing off the hook on that wall in the part of the room that you never dared to tread could be insights of unfinished business from passed on relatives. That's been coming to me too. Unbelievable. You know, I also found that I could unlock my mind with self hypnosis. I had a writer's block for over 30 years. I did a hypnosis session on myself. Yes, I think we should all know these skills. We don't need to be going to the boss or to the person who's going to tell us and do the woo woo and make it work for us. You have more ability to help and save yourself than you ever would have imagined. And, you know, I did this meditation 20 minutes. I woke up like from a sleep, you know, a trance that lasted decades. And I sat there and I wrote until my hands cramped. And I finished my audiobook. Yes, all of my works are inspired and they're getting crazier and more daring. I'm working on a couple of them now. But if you want to check out the ones I have, they're below. I also collect letters from people who have met me in person and told me that I had this kind of experience on them. That's the thing about finding a bit more of your light. To the people that are brave enough, who don't run and shrink and hide and fear and attack the light, they allow it to increase their brightness just a bit more. And if they keep going with it, it grows over time and they become the light that kindles the fire in others in their lives. And that's a beautiful thing to see. I got my light through other people I encountered on my journey throughout my entire life. I was a very, very broken person because of the childhood that I had. You know, my parents were the first ones who ever broke my heart at a very young age. I felt like God didn't listen to me. I wanted a family so I could, specifically, I wanted a farming family so I could just go off into the middle of nowhere, have my chosen people, and not be bothered. And God was like, you can have everything you want in this life, okay? I learned that internet money is one of my love languages. When people buy stuff from me, they often send me a follow-up email like, oh my God, thank you. You know, I had this one point where I realized when I was selling my ebook back in 2015, 2016, making thousands of dollars, you know, hundreds of dollars a day, I realized that there was a section on PayPal where you can write a note when you purchase a product. And I didn't realize that before. And suddenly I was like, what? And I went and I had hundreds of notes from people who had purchased my product. And while they were buying it, said, thank you so much for doing this. Meanwhile, there I was thinking like, who am I to charge people for my knowledge? Whoa, man, I had a lot to work through with that. I really did. But I had this insatiable curiosity, this insatiable sense of a horizon, something that was there, something that was in the darkness of the room that I was in, that was my life, that if I could just find the right something, I would soon become aware of. I would be made aware of it. And I was right. I hope this inspires you. I hope this inspires you to keep going through whatever darkness you're in. Keep reaching, keep trying. Let the light find you, and don't be afraid. Thanks for watching.